Hello again and welcome to the TryPod, and this week we've got a very special episode for you. It's a finals preview, and let's get started.
Lego!
Lego!
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they stay there, and they stay there.
Val, we're back for one more week, and it's the finals pod, and aren't we excited about this? It's going to be a great pod. Two special guests with us tonight. How you doing today, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing awesome, man. What a season it's been. Over the whole year, I think our record has been 132 and 78, which is 63% against the spread. For those of you who don't know, we pick games against the line every single week. Only 50-50 plays, and 63% winners to 37% losses over 200 best bets this year.
Over such a big sample size,
phenomenal.
Which is just crazy. Because as we've said before, there are professional bettors over in the States and all over the world, and they get 53%, and they're sort of advertising that as they're awesome, and they're paying, people are paying them for picks, and they're getting 53%.
And
we're
I don't
getting
even
63.
feel like we had the most lucky season, and look no further than the Eels, the way that the Eels Raiders game lost.
God.
We lost two best bets in the final 15 seconds of that game.
Yep.
But
and the kick from the sideline.
Those hurt, but when you're gone as well as we've gone, really the only pain we're feeling is champagne.
Yep.
So we break down every game, and we've got two famous guests to bring on the show. They've both been on previously, and they're both backed by popular demand.
Absolutely.
And without further ado, let's introduce our first one. You might know him as the Bareback Bandit.
Bareback's back. All right.
How you doing, Bareback Bandit?
Very well, thank you for that intro.
Yeah, did you like your theme song, mate?
Well deserved, mate.
Yeah, well, I've got to love it. It is my favourite time of year, obviously.
That's certainly right. So for those of you who don't know, Heath a die-hard Roosters supporter. No one's got their finger on the pulse quite like Heathy, quite like the Bareback Bandit.
Absolutely not. And we had him on a few weeks ago, and people just absolutely loved him. And
Yeah,
said, when are you going to get the Bareback Bandit back on? So we said we have to get him on for the finals pod, especially because the Roosters finished minor premiers.
Yeah, mate. In fact, you are the first person to appear on the pod more than once. You're our first back-to-back guest.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back on, really, and a pleasure seeing the Roosters win the minor premiership.
Yes,
That's it.
yes.
They literally haven't lost. What is it now? About 12 in a row.
Yeah,
Dirty
I think
dozen.
I think we're up to 14, mate. Aren't
Oh, okay. Jeez, I
Oh,
lose
no.
track on this.
No,
The pleasure's all ours. Obviously, no one knows the Roosters like yourself. And look, it's been. I think we had you on about three or 4 weeks ago to assess the injuries and see if your confidence had wavered. But I know your confidence is always sky high. But look, the people, they want an update, and you made a comment about a 5'2" bird, which might have been South African descent last pod. So you better just start by giving us an update on that, mate.
Yeah, well, she's been tidy. She's going well though. Although there's been a couple of bumps in the road, one could say.
That'll happen.
And
Hopefully
it
they're not the
happens. I
bumps in
mean,
downstairs
there's
region.
always-
Yeah, where are these bumps exactly? Because obviously you're notorious for
getting
not
checked.
always. You don't always wear headgear when you play. Let's just say that.
no, well, at the end of the day, but that can often be, a defining moment in a career or a life.
Yeah, that's
So,
it.
You have said to me
Yeah,
you want your head to be able to really feel it when you play.
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to keep your head in the game.
Yeah.
And this isn't a long-term thing. This is just a one-game winning streak, is it?
Well, that's the thing. It hasn't really been a win
Oh,
as
right.
of yet.
Oh, okay.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
You might sometimes, you get to the finish line or you lead by a couple before the final whistle, and you start celebrating too soon, and suddenly you realise that they've snuck back up on you.
Yeah, the
Someone
Roosters.
has gone
The
play.
Roosters have certainly done that this year. They do go to sleep for periods when they think the game should be sewn up.
Yeah, you think you've closed, and it just suddenly you start fighting again.
Can you give us any specific details, or? Is it
We're all dying
a
to
bit
know. All the
hush-hush?
listeners are dying to know.
Yeah, it's what the people want to know.
Well, if they want to know it, well, she's we could call her a happy clapper. So
Okay.
a member of
Bit religious?
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
that would be the. I think the politically correct way to say it.
Yep. And you're all about
But-
political correctness.
And that was her first win of the season, I assume?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You're in for a long and arduous road, my friend.
There was no defence around the rim, and then suddenly from nowhere, just like LeBron came from nowhere from behind and just slapped and said, "Get out of here!"
Was it from behind?
Well, you think you have a free path and don't see it coming.
Well, mate, you still got time. I mean, you gave us your GF a few weeks ago. I mean, I remember there was an 8-year stretch where you did not change GF.
Yeah.
So has anything changed there in the GF stakes?
No, I'm happy to say that it hasn't, and I've been working hard to keep it that way.
Excellent.
And playing overtime because, usually I'm a great, great first up horse, but then after a win or two, go straight back to the paddock for a little bit of time.
But now you're trying to get a bit of consistency in your game, eh?
Yeah, you got to I want to put some back-to-back wins on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way.
And
That's the way.
speaking of,
Yeah,
actually,
sure.
we'll be seeing you. You're placed in Emerald, but of course we've got Holly's wedding. A good friend of the pod and friend
Great
of
friend
ours.
of the
She's getting married on the weekend, so we're going up to the sunny coast for that. That should be
Yeah,
good, eh, boys?
I'm really looking forward to seeing both of you there. Actually,
When you
Should be
say we are,
Yeah, it'd be good. Can't wait to catch up with yourself. You probably can't wait to have a beer with Heathy, can you?
no, absolutely, Heathy. I'd love to see you there, but unfortunately circumstances change. Can't make it there this weekend, so
You can't
it's
make it, bro.
unfortunate. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
I couldn't get time off work.
yeah. That's it, exactly. So it's a tough
Jeez.
time working the
I
weekends.
forgot all about that, actually. See, and that's the thing that we say with betting and with anything in life. It's all about recency bias. People always say, "What have you done for me lately?" And maybe, "What have you done for Holly lately?"
Not much, to be
Yeah.
honest. But what have you guys done for her lately? Not much either.
To be honest, I think I went to school with Holly, but I haven't really. I can't really remember her.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so-
it's good to get invited to her wedding. That's
yeah,
for sure.
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Holly and I have an emotional bond going way back. So, they usually continue from your adolescent years.
No, that's excellent.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
That is excellent news. Should we talk some footy?
Yeah, let's talk a bit of footy. All right, how confident are you going into Friday's game, playing the Storm? And we might have more breaking news because both is telling us that there's an injury cloud or an illness cloud over Cam Smith.
Yeah, illness cloud over Cam Smith. He's been battling a virus all week. He hasn't been training with the team. Now, Craig Bellamy says that he may or may not make the trip to Sydney with the team, but he said they're going to reassess tomorrow. But yeah, he hasn't trained at all, and he said that's why he didn't show up to the awards night the other day. He was sick in bed. A few people gave him a bit of flack for that, but they could struggle without him. But how do you see this one playing out, Heathy?
Yeah, well, no Smith, no chance, really. But I think the Roosters will be too strong for them anyway, whether Smith's there or not. But obviously, without Smith, he's got to be the backbone of the Storm.
Yeah, you love Bones.
So, I do. And
I think it's diabolical if he doesn't play because of an illness. I mean, you've fought through far worse, whether it be injury, illness, infection, to get a job done.
yeah, well, that's what it's about, getting done around finals time as well.
Yeah, it's business.
Just
It's the
gotta,
business end of the season, isn't it? You you do your best work at the business end.
That's right. Yeah, that's where you got to be playing your hardest game.
And that's
Whether or
where
not there's
where
something-
big players make big plays. And a guy I want to talk to you about is RTS. You cannot go past. I know that obviously he's signed with the Warriors for next year, and we asked you how do you feel about that? Because the guy is quicksilver. I mean, when he puts his foot in the ground, he can just go 100 mile an hour in any direction. He's unbelievable, phenomenal to watch, and he's an absolute match winner. We've likened him to the crazy hot chick that you're dating,
Yep.
and you know that she's just way too good for you. She's going to leave you at any moment. So it's you want to enjoy your time with her, but at the same time it's bittersweet. You
Yeah,
know,
that's it.
that it just can't last.
I wish we could liken ourselves to that man, but we
Yeah.
never get to the initial stage of actually dating that chick.
Yeah, you can relate to that, Heath.
I can't say I've been... Well, yeah, I've known my fair share of crazies. But at the same time, RTS is going to be a big loss next year. But you've got to make hay while the sun shines, and
That's
that's
very
why
true.
we need to get the premiership this year.
Strike
when
while
he's
the
there,
iron's
but-
hot.
Yeah, that's it. They have
That's right.
actually said there's been a bit of chat now after Haynes obviously made the roster of the 49ers, and they've said what other NRL players could actually make the change, make the switch over to the NFL, and a lot of people were saying RTS. I don't know what you reckon, Heathy.
Well, I guess he does possess similar to skills to Hayne in terms of the quick step, the lightning speed.
He is a lot smaller though.
Sorry.
He is a lot smaller though.
Yeah, I don't think even Hayne. Yeah, Hayne's got that extra bulk, but I think over his career, RTS will continue to build up, continue to get a bit more bulky, and he probably could make maybe eventually that transition, but I don't think he will. I think that he's just struck the gold with the Warriors probably, or the Warriors have struck the gold with him, either way.
Yeah, bloody
Man,
hell.
that Warriors team is going to be fun to watch next season with Isaac Luke going into hooker, but I mean, the combination between Johnson and RTS, like, you won't want to miss a game, and let's hope for the NRL's sake he stays in the NRL. I think his ability to make a man miss, we watch a lot of American football, and I think he's right up there, his ability to move. He could be a phenomenal player, probably in any sport, pretty gifted athlete, but yeah, certainly he's on your team for the next 2 or 3 weeks, so you want to make the most. One more question for you. Mate, this is a serious one. We spoke about, your concerns with the injuries. You lost Ria Hargraves. You lost Mitchell Pearce. Now, obviously, at this point, my opinion of the Roosters is they're actually overrated. You just cannot make money betting on them because the public is all over it and they're just covering any line. And I'm going to be looking, it sounds counterintuitive, but I'm going to be looking to bet against the Roosters this finals where I can because teams are going to be getting too many points. And I don't love, we can talk more about the game in a second, I don't love the Melbourne Storm, so I'm not betting on the Storm this week. But look, my counter-argument to the Roosters is everyone thinks that everything's fine, they haven't missed a beat without Pearce, without Ria Hargraves. You've played 2 games since those guys went down. You played Manly and you played the Bunnies. And let me tell you, both those teams did not show up. They played with the heart of Tin Man.
Yeah.
And we haven't actually seen you be tested and play a good team that was on their game yet. So are you worried that, maybe you will get found out without those, 2 superstars?
Yeah, I think, you do want a testing game usually before the finals, but I think that I think we've actually, although those other 2 teams haven't showed up, we played good footy, or at least against South in the first half. And I mean, everyone was giving Manly a decent shot against us as well, but the forwards are just playing bully ball at the moment. I don't think there's many packs that can go with us. And I think we actually dodged a bullet with the gummies missing, because I think they have one of the few forward packs that can actually match it.
Yeah, I think you've got to be happy to have drawn the Storm. Do you see any best bets in this game yourself? The line, or Alex, you want to just explain the odds and the line on this game?
Yeah, definitely. So the Roosters are obviously hosting the Storm here. This line's come down half a point. The Roosters are laying 7.5 points, so minus 7.5. The totals are really low, 35.5.
And obviously we've got some new followers, so maybe Heathy, you could help us out. Could you just explain the meaning of the term laying?
Yeah, so it's when you go out on the town usually and you meet a lovely person, usually good personality, good chat.
Not familiar with
Just
this.
a person, not a girl. Yeah. It could be either or.
Well, mate, beggars can't be choosers at the end of the day.
That's true.
Preach.
True.
And sorry, what was that?
I said preach.
Oh, okay.
That's the gospel.
Well, I basically am preaching to the choir.
Yeah, true.
You are.
And then, so you meet a lovely person out in the town, and then...
Well, then the rest is history. I'll leave it up to your imagination. Well, and we don't want to talk to anyone about that.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Probably have enough.
An R-rated pod.
Yeah, well, I mean, in football terms, obviously, we'll break it down quite simply. So the Sydney is minus 7.5, which means if you take that bet, you need the Roosters to win by 8 or more points to win your bet. And if you take the Storm plus 7.5, you need them to either win the game or you need them to lose by 7 points or less to cash your bet. But what I was going to ask you, Heathy, last week me and Jacob were absolutely spewing. You played the Rabbitohs, you had the minor premiership wrapped up, obviously, unless the Rabbits beat you by 67 points. But look, we were saying, look, it makes sense to rest your stars. I mean, you know, anything can happen. I mean, obviously, sort of Maloney was in a little bit of strife there for a second with his tripping charge. But you can get, there was guys getting fired up. I know Moa was getting in there, sort of, throwing some, I guess, pushes and shoves and that kind of thing. But in terms of injuries as well, how much do you rate actually having some winning form going into the finals over, the risk of possibly getting, a bad injury or a suspension to one of your stars going into the finals?
Yeah, it's something to think about, but I think keeping players, I think if you take that risk and you have the players playing, that's always better off than resting the players if you got the winning form. But at the same time, it never wouldn't hurt, to take, if you're giving a team a hiding, take someone off. Like I think the Roosters took Cordner off about maybe just after half time against the Bunnies, or maybe even before half time. And I think that kind of thing plays a good call once you got the match sewn up. Then, it's probably not. Then you can rest them. But I'm not a big fan of resting players at the end of the day. Although earlier in the season, I think Robinson rested, like a few games before he got injured, rested Pearce for a game. And it was also a good idea doing it then to blood some of the younger fellas to actually give them a chance to go out there in case they are needed like they are now for the finals. And that them playing back then is probably going to, well, hopefully reap the rewards when it comes to the finals if Pearce isn't going to get back in time.
Yeah, that's it. And the NRL season is similar to your own life in that it is a war of attrition. And, there's going to be mishaps along the way. And it's easy for you to say that playing the guys was the right call because they all got through the game. But, I mean, we might talk to Jerm a bit more. We've got Jerm coming up on the pod later about Jonathan Thurston tweaking his knee against the Titans in a game that they didn't need. And I find that absolutely diabolical, to be honest. But, look, let's look quickly at this Roosters Storm game before we go. Personally, I think that the Roosters will win the game. I like the Melbourne backline. I think they've barely missed a beat without Slater. I think Cameron Munster has a bit of a Matt Moylan about him. He's actually superb, really, to slot in there. Question marks over Smith, that's a concern for me. And I don't think their forward pack can match it with you. That's why I can't take the 7.5 with Melbourne. But as we say, there's two things that we rarely lay, and that's over a converted try and women.
Yep.
So for me, this is a stay away. How about you, Bo?
Absolutely, I agree with you. And this line was sitting at 8 earlier in the week, and I was thinking, the Storm is probably the side here. As you were saying before, the Roosters are getting a little bit overvalued. They have had some injuries, recently to some key players, but no one has really noticed because they have just been blowing teams out. But now the line's 7.5 and Smith's in doubt. And even if he does play, he's not going to be 100% by what we've been hearing out of the sheds. Bellamy says he's had a virus for a whole week, hasn't trained with the team. So, look, this has just got stay away written all over it for me. It's the first game of the finals. I don't see a high scoring game, but that's why the total's set so low at 35.5. So it's a dead set pass from me.
Look, Heath, we'll give you the last word on this game. I know you're not one to usually stay away, but how do you see it?
Yeah, I won't be betting on it myself. But
I wasn't talking about betting.
Have to bet on it. There's enough. Well, I'm always gambling, but there's not always with money.
No.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I won't be betting on it myself, but obviously I'll be furiously supporting the Roosters.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you were going to say after furiously.
Yeah, but no, I honestly think the Roosters will be too strong. I think although we have our star-studded backline, I think the forwards is where the job's going to get done.
Yeah, definitely, and I think you did well getting that minor premiership. I think the Storm are sort of a level below, Brisbane and North Queensland. So I think you've certainly, they've pulled the short straw there. But you guys should see yourself safely into the semis.
This may not be the last time we hear from the Bareback Bandit, but look, we'll say goodbye to you, mate. Thanks for joining us again. We appreciate it. I know the people do too. We'll have a beer with you on Saturday.
No, sounds good.
Keep safe, my friend.
I'll try and play it safe, but there's no promises.
Please, gamble responsibly.
See you later.
See you, buddy.
Yeah, good to have the Bareback Bandit on. So no best bets in that game. We should say, obviously, there's the finals, there's less games. It can be harder to find an advantage because everyone is motivated and everyone is playing pretty good footy. You don't always have down spots for teams and some situations that we usually take advantage of.
That's right.
But we've got a couple of best bets for you, so why don't we get straight into the next game?
Yeah, and I was just going to add as well, just for finals, there are more people betting on the finals once it rolls around, and therefore, as you've seen, the odds makers have set it fairly well. Not a lot of these lines have moved, and if they have, just ever so slightly. And there is a lot more of the betting public betting on these games, so you do sort of counteract that, and you do get a little bit of value loss. But we'll move on to the Bulldogs and the Dragons. The Bulldogs are favourites, laying 10.5 points, and the total sitting at 36.5.
Yeah, I've said all year that Canterbury were too far down the ladder for the quality that they've got. That is an exceptional team with the Morris brothers. Everyone, Curtis Rona has been scoring like it's his job. Lafai, Perrott, the whole back line. And to have really 3 superstar halves is a luxury. They lost Trent Hodgkinson, the Origin halfback for the season, but you draft straight in Josh Reynolds, who played Origin last year, and obviously they've got Mbai, who has maybe the coolest name in the competition.
Definitely.
And then we haven't even spoken about the forwards. I mean, led by James Graham, adding a bit of bite, and when you've got Dave Clemmer, who off the bench. That
Yeah,
pretty
it's
much
ridiculous.
says it all. Their forwards are skillful. They're an absolute contender in my eyes. But I'm not going to lay the 10.5 here. I actually think the Dragons are an underrated side. I'm not going to penalise. People probably think the Dragons are pretty useless. If you watch them in the last 2 weeks, scraping home against the Tigers
Yes.
and losing to the Titans. But they didn't need to win either of those games. So we haven't really seen them with a full-strength team needing the win. Unfortunately, we're not going to see that this weekend because Widdop's out, if you didn't know. And that makes a huge difference. I probably would have taken the points with the Dragons if Widdop was in. He doesn't miss goal kicks. He's in everything. He's everywhere on the field. He's such a good player. He's better than the betting public realises, in fact. So when he's out, you're losing value on the Dragons. For that reason, I've got another stay away here.
Yeah, especially with their ability to cover the 10.5 points. I mean, his kicking could be the difference between covering that line and not covering that line. And look, to be honest, I think people are sort of caught on slowly to the way that the Bulldogs are going at the moment. They are premiership contenders in my eyes, and I said that right at the start of the season that they would be in the finals alongside the Roosters, and I haven't wavered from that. But in terms of St George, they have been, as you said, scraping through those last couple of games, and no one is putting their money on St George, and that line has drifted from 10 to 10.5, which makes St George a little bit more of a value proposition. But at the same time, without slotting those kicks over the black dot, I'm not going to take the 10.5 with St George. I think Canterbury wins this game definitely. So no bet on the first 2 games?
No, we've got a second special guest coming right up. We're going to break down the hugely anticipated clash, Broncos-Cows. But first, we better just pay some bills and hear from our sponsor.
Sanity is now on Facebook. Like the page to gain access to free downloadable mixes and stream Night Tremors Radio from any connected device. Sanity, proudly supporting the TryPod NRL betting podcast.
Good on you, Sanity, and not only is Sanity an awesome DJ, but he's also got a sister that's a big supporter of the pod, actually. So, shout out to Evo and obviously his sister as well.
Elsa, shout out.
Yep, shout out there.
Wearing it with pride.
Sorry for breaking your hammock.
So you admit it was you that broke it?
Nah, I don't admit it.
It was both up.
No. Jacob pushed me. All right, so now we'll move on to the Broncos-Cowboys game. So we've got our resident Cowboys expert, Jerm, and we'll try and get him on the line now. See how we go.
G'day, boys.
Hey, Jezza, how are you, brother?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Right. Yeah, we're going well, mate. So you're live on the pod. We'll just introduce you. Obviously, you're our Cowboys expert. You're a Cowboys member, diehard Cowboys tragic. But you're also the coach at Ipswich Brothers Rugby League Club. We've said before, we know a lot about sports betting. We've made a lot of money for people this year, but we don't claim to be, absolute rugby league experts. We know what we don't know, and that's why we're very thankful to have mates like yourself we can bring in for your expertise.
That's good to hear.
We try. So what do you reckon, Jezza? Obviously, you pulled the Broncos, and you had third place wrapped up last week, and obviously, put on a bit of a show there. But how do you see this one going, mate? Obviously, you copped a bit of a scare last week with JT, tweaking his knee there. Is he going to be all right for this one?
Yeah, well, currently he's got a bit of a groin strain at the moment, and he's been laying off the kicking and whatnot, but he should be all good. So look out for him.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Is the chat that he won't be kicking goals this weekend?
No, I think he'll be all good to go. It's hard to tell coming to finals times. Everyone's talking about injuries and whatnot just to play mind games, I think, but I reckon he'll be all right. Yeah,
I mean, JT, I think he's as good as it gets, and I've said before, I think he's a class above, and he's tough as woodpecker lips. I think he'll definitely play, but the chance of aggravating that groin, making a kick, I heard that they might actually be looking elsewhere for their goal kicking, and you probably can't use Michael Morgan to kick either, because he's got injury concerns of his own. We're just thinking about that because that has implications for the total. Looking at over-unders there, but are you worried about that his level of play? He has looked a bit beat up to me, and obviously when we last had you on the pod, the Cows had won 10 in a row, but they haven't had it all their own way since then.
No, we haven't been going too well lately. As of all year, our defence has really been the issue, and
our middle thirds really let go in the last couple of weeks, so hopefully they'll tighten that up and sort it out. And I think playing the Broncos in the first round of the finals is a really good way to start, because both these sides will step up for this game. The local derby will be sold-out match at Suncorp, great atmosphere, expect a cracker of a game.
Speaking of tightening up in the middle, actually, we've just said goodbye to the Bareback Bandit. He was on earlier. He's also going to be joining us at Holly's wedding. You're another close friend. I think Holly just about invited everyone in our group to her wedding, actually.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. So it'll be good.
It'll be
good to catch up, man.
Catch up with you boys.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it, mate.
Yeah. But I was going to say,
I haven't
obviously...
seen you in a while, Boza.
Yeah, I know, and I won't see you this weekend either, mate.
Oh, that's unfortunate. You
That is
must be a shit friend, mate.
Yeah, I know that.
I think we know that's a fact. But, mate, all I will say is about, tightening up on D. Like, obviously, you've got a lovely girlfriend yourself. The Bareback Bandit's going to be in town. He's been in a bit of form lately.
Yes.
Look, mate, just be vigilant, be alert. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that bloke, mate.
Oh, famous last words, The Cowboys weren't worried about
Mate,
the Sharks the
he's
other
rolling
week.
around in Emerald. One in 3 women out there is pushing a pram, so...
Yeah, and about 1 in 6 is because of him. That's what I'm saying, mate. Just be careful.
Mate, last time we had you on the pod, I was saying, look, the Cows, I think it was 5 games before we had you on the pod. For those whole 5 games, they were just putting in terrible first halves and terrible first 20 minutes where they were just, getting down 12, 18 points, that sort of thing. And it seems like, you haven't really corrected that. I mean, obviously, last game of the season, you found yourself down against the Titans as well. Now, is that a worry for you, mate, going into the finals? Because, these teams aren't going to be, I guess they're going to be a bit more ruthless than some of the teams that you've given 2-3 converted try, leads to.
Yeah, it's definitely a worry. Like, come finals time, there's going to be sides you just can't give those leads away to. It is good knowing that we are able to come back from those deficits. And you look at last year, the Roosters, they put on 30 against the Cows. The Cows managed to come back, but lost by a field goal. So, it could happen again, that kind of stuff. But yeah, come finals time, it's going to be a lot tougher to come back from.
Yeah, definitely. I guess at least it gives you a little bit of belief that if you are down in one of these finals games, that you have that ability to come back as well, because you've done it so many times before.
That's exactly right. They'll never stop fighting, so there's always going to be a chance.
Yeah, and I think when I look at who can win the comp, I'm going to assume every team is switched on, every team's locked and loaded, and I just look at whose best footy is the best. And geez, the Cowboys went in 5th gear. I mean, look at their ability to be down 16-0 in Auckland against a pretty raucous crowd with no Morgan and no Tarmow, both off the field, down to 15 players, and to put on 50 straight points. I mean, this team's ceiling is phenomenal, and absolutely this can be the year they win the comp, I think. Be just about the best team that they've had in the time you've supported them.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like, we've got a great hooker there now, which has really added to the team. Like, I think the Cows have got the second best attack in the comp, just behind the Roosters. But yeah, it's just the defence where we really need to stiffen up, and if we do that, we're a bloody good chance of winning it.
Look, you touched on it there. Who would you say is the best hooker you've had in the last 10, 15 years?
Oh, I did love Aaron Payne back in the day. He was just awesome to watch.
Really?
He was a little rocket, and it's a bit early to judge Jake Granville after just one season. So
Yeah, you did mention stiffening up though. I was just wondering, what about that weekend when Mickey went away a couple months ago? Thought you said you had a pretty good hooker that weekend.
don't know what you're talking about.
Only joking. Mickey doesn't listen to the pod, does she?
Nah, she might because I'm on this one, but let's just hope not.
Let's hope you don't get in trouble for that one, mate.
No, but you've said for you, when it comes to hookers, you like Payne. But enough about your personal life.
I love Payne when it comes to hookers.
But let's talk a bit more rugby league, eh?
Yeah. Should I read out the lines for this one, I guess, first of all? So,
if you don't mind, Jerm, you can help us break down the Broncos-Cowboys game, both, or we'll just give the people the stats.
yeah, absolutely. So we got the Broncos hosting the Cowboys, obviously, at Suncorp. This line's come down from 4 to 3.5. The Broncos are favourites, obviously, with the news that Corey Parker might be missing this one or a little bit injured. And the total sitting at 40 points to 42 points.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Broncos aren't favourite because Corey Parker's injured, what you meant is the line has come
Yes,
down
the
because
line's
of that.
come down from 4
it opened
to
at 4.
3.5.
The Broncos opened 4-point favourites, but Corey Parker's potentially 50-50. Again, he's not a great goal kicker, but he is the number 1 goal kicker for the Bronx. So if he's not kicking, I don't know, maybe Jordan Kahu, who's, even...
Yeah.
He makes Parker look good sometimes.
Yes, yeah.
So if we're going to factor that in, that's actually going to play into a best bet I'm going to suggest. Look, I think that North Queensland are better than Brisbane. So I want to kind of take the points of North Queensland. I think at their best, I think North Queensland just a level above the Bronx. And with JT in a close game, you're going to always lean that way. But geez, I've just got my doubts. JT's groin, Morgan's... Is it his ankle, Jerry?
Yeah, ankle sprain.
Yeah, I just don't know. I think Brisbane's just going to keep it very tight. More than anything, I can't lean to a side as much as the total. I see a real arm wrestle. I see teams, just trying to control the ball, complete sets, with a couple of playmakers slightly hampered by injury. I think that we can find some value with the total in this game.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And this is the highest total of the weekend. And when you've got, JT, who may or may not be kicking, but if he is going to be kicking, he's not going to be 100%. And obviously, he's a phenomenal goal kicker. And then you've got the Broncos' number 1 goal kicker in Corey Parker, who may or may not be kicking either. And if he will, he won't be 100% either. So 42 is an awfully high line for this one. I think it will be an arm wrestle type of game. And when you've got injuries to your playmakers, like JT and Morgan, it is difficult, especially, leg injuries. When you've got groin injuries, it's hard, and obviously a high ankle sprain, I think, is what he's got. Makes it tough to step, manoeuvre, sort of, I guess, create those opportunities like you normally would. So I don't see this one going anywhere near the 42. I'm happy to go under for that one.
Yeah, I think we also need to look at the try line and total tries for the same reasons. And we do think that North Queensland will really focus and turn up in these finals aiming up on D, because I think everything else comes from that. As we know, everything comes from D, really.
That's it.
One way or another.
You did.
That's right. So I think we want to look at the Broncos under 4 tries. The beauty of that is it'll take 5 tries to beat that. And I don't know, tell us how you see this one, Jerm. So I'm saying that I find it hard to see a scenario where Brisbane scores 5 or more tries. What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, the Bronx do like to play a bit expansive, but they're going to really struggle to do that because they don't have that much strength in their forward pack. Like, they've moved Friday into the front row. They've got Adam Blair there and Corey Parker as your middlemen going forward. But with Parker in doubt and nothing but youth coming off the bench, they may struggle later on in the game. So, yeah, I'd be thinking a bit of an unders there.
Yep. No, fair enough.
Yeah,
Well, it seems like we're on the same page there.
We spoke earlier that when teams get an injury that is to a key player, but they keep winning, the public almost doesn't even blink. The public doesn't notice that the key player is out. And the Broncos lost Josh Maguire in the Origin period. Anytime you lose an Origin front rower, that's going to hurt your team. And you've said it there, like the front row in particular, isn't quite at an elite level of some of the other sides they're going to have to get on top of in this final series. And that's why I think Brisbane just probably will fall short of winning it all this year. For me, the best 3 teams in the comp are the Roosters, of course, the Cows, and I have to say the Dogs.
I agree.
And the Broncos, of course, they're capable of winning these games. The way that they defend their goal line, they can beat anybody. But I can't bet on them in this spot. I'm very interested to see the outcome of this game and then what we can do moving forward. But
definitely.
Yeah, we've got a couple of best bets there. We might leave you there, Jerry. I know you're a busy man. Probably got Ipswich Brothers training tonight, or?
No, we got knocked out first week of the final. So
Oh, mate.
for me, Mad Monday.
Oh yeah, how was it?
Well, they're only 15, so that's Mad Monday.
Yeah, so we can't say it on the
Make
pod.
up for it on the weekend, eh, boys?
Yeah,
that's it.
absolutely. Can't wait for us all to crack a beer, mate. We'll see
It's
you.
going to be fantastic.
See you at the sunny coast.
Hope you guys have a fantastic time.
We'll have plenty for you, both.
Yeah, that's right. Have a beer for me, mate.
Thanks, brother.
Cheers, boys. Have a good one.
You
Cheers,
too.
mate.
Thanks for joining us. All right, obviously the Cowboys expert, Jerm, he was another fan favourite last time we had him on the pod. Always good to get his insights.
Absolutely.
So we'll just recap those couple of best bets. We're going under 42 points for the total game score, and we're taking Brisbane to go under 4 tries, in which case only 5 will lose that bet, and I'm pretty confident that this is going to be an arm wrestle type game. So
Me too.
Those 2 bets sort of link in together there. In the last game of the round, we've got the Cronulla Sharks hosting the Rabbitohs. Now, this line's fluctuated between 1.5 to 2 points, with the Sharks being favoured, and the total sitting at 36.5 points.
The Sharkies. Look, I'm going to have a little bit of a rant here.
Go for it, mate. Go for it.
We've only given 2 best bets so far. I've got to be honest. I'm really excited for the finals. We've had a great year. But look, I was not excited about the slate. I said to you, I hate the slate of games. What I mean is, I do not like the matchups this week. I was looking at the ladder, looking at the potential matchups, and I had some really good best bets because, it depends on who. If other teams were playing each other, you can definitely get more of an advantage. I've got Roosters and a Melbourne team that I want to bet against both of them. They're playing each other. I can't do anything. I've got Dogs and St George that I think are both underrated, but they're playing each other. I can't get an advantage. And can I swear on the pod?
Yeah, go for it, mate.
It was the Sharks.
Let fly.
The Sharks fucked everything up.
Yep.
All they had to do was win out. They had 2 games. The destiny is in their own hands. They have a great forward pack. They were at home. They're playing a Manly team that had given up. Cherry Evans injured. He's halfway out the door. So is Foran. This is the biggest game. Was that fair to say the biggest game in the Sharkies' history? I mean, to get a top 4 spot, to get 2 bites of the cherry, to be 1 win away from a bye and a prelim. Can anyone fucking tell me why they were wearing canary yellow jerseys?
I can't. No, it was bad.
I need to know the answer to that
doesn't
question.
scare a team
What
when you're wearing
the
that.
fuck was going on in that game? And it pretty much set the tone for the game. They just floundered around. They could not put Manly to the sword. And they, handed it away. And it's classic Sharkies. And we didn't have a best bet on the Sharkies last week because I just don't have faith in them to play 3 good games in a row.
Nope. Absolutely dismal performance. And that would have pitted them against the Roosters, a wounded Roosters team that they've beaten twice this year. So they've got to be absolutely kicking themselves. Yeah,
they have. And you've got to question whether they can lift themselves up for this. I mean, obviously it's a finals match. They're at home again. And, you're going to be motivated. But they were just so G'd up for that game last Sunday. And, when you had your destiny in your own hands, now you've let it slip. Now you've got to win 4 more straight times against quality opposition. And they've got to face GI. You just wonder if the Sharkies can really turn up this week. I do see it as pretty much a 50-50 game. I was looking through the week, definitely thinking that I liked the Bunnies. I know the Bunnies have been woeful the last two weeks.
They have.
But I'm gonna forgive it just because GI was out, Isaac Luke was out, things didn't go their way, and we can also say Sutton's been out, but we can also say they held the Roosters to 0-0 in the second half, which does count for something. Just makes me I'm not quite ready to give up on the Bunnies. But it's not a great spot with George Burgess, who's been their best front rower all year, obviously suspended.
Are you kidding me with that? That is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I don't know. He's thrown an empty water bottle that hasn't gone anywhere near him, and they were looking at 2 weeks, and he scraped away with 1. But even so, that is ridiculous. And that is stupid. Such stupid behaviour. Like going into the finals and you throw a bloody water bottle at your opposition. That is just dumb.
Yeah, and that will hurt. George Burgess alone, his name maybe doesn't move the needle, but don't forget this team, had Sam Burgess last year as well.
Yeah.
John Sutton helps drive that team forward. And the Sharkies, on the other hand, welcome back Andrew Fafita, who's an origin-level front rower. So I actually give the upper hand in the forwards to the Sharkies here, and they will need it because the better backline players are with the Bunnies.
Yep.
Pretty even game. I think the Bunnies, having conceded about, at least 30 in the last couple of weeks, I think they're going to say enough's enough, a line in the sand, GI's back, we've got enough to win here, we can win this game, we can get Isaac Luke back next week, we're the champs, and we're going to show up. And I think that they're going to take this to the grindhouse, which is really the only way Cronulla knows how to play. I'm looking under the total here as well. You've got a couple of good goal kickers in these teams. So I'm going to be looking to play under the try line. And the try line for the Sharkies of 3.5.
Yep.
They showed me nothing last weekend that they can score more than 3.5 tries.
Absolutely not. And South Sydney will take a lot of confidence actually from last week. Obviously they were down 30-0 at half-time, but they didn't concede a point in the second half, and they'll draw a little bit of confidence from that. Look, in terms of Cronulla, Look, I'm not going to say this is a classic letdown spot because it is the finals, but look, they were G'd up, as you said, for last week. Massive game.
G-Train.
Yeah,
G-Train.
G-Train. That could have catapulted them into fourth spot where they would have been safe for another week for sure. And that is such a letdown spot to come out of that and just be so disappointing and lose by 2 points and then be stuck, in the bottom four. But it's not quite a massive letdown spot because you still have the finals. You know they're going to be ready for it. But at the same time, mentally, they've gotten so up for that Manly game, and they've got to be feeling a little bit of fatigue, not only physically but emotionally as well, by not making the top four. So, look, I agree with you. The Cronulla defense holds strong. I think this will be a low-scoring game. I could see it going either way, but Cronulla's slight favourites. We can take under 3.5 tries, and I don't see them getting there.
Let's do that. So let's add Cronulla under 3.5 tries to Cowboys Broncos under 42 game total and a Broncos team try line under 4 tries. Just 3 best bets, but as we said, we didn't like the matchups this week that much. There's less games.
That's it.
And it's harder to find advantage, but we do our best to find one for you guys. Look, just a few more things we've got to give a shout out to. Shout out to Nick Murray, the Muzzer,
yes,
who won. Put your tip where your mouth is. He broke Neddy's reign of terror.
Yeah, it was a 5-game winning streak.
That's no
I
mean
think 5
feat.
weeks.
And he had the Storm to upset the Bronx and made good over $4 out of that, picking the Storm margin.
Bet.
So shout out to Nico. He'll be on the bye this week, but we might see him again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of Neddy,
yeah,
we introduced it was awesome. Anyone who's an NFL fan, or even if you're not, you might be getting into it. Everyone's got a bit of interest with Jared Hayne, obviously, such a big story.
And now that the NRL's winding down, you need to fill the void.
Yeah, it's your footy void. It
starts
perfectly. It starts now, just when our season's winding down. Get involved. The NFL is amazing to watch. These are the best athletes on earth.
Plus, usually
they put on big hits, unlike the NRL, the way the NRL's going.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I mean, if you wake up on a Sunday morning and you're a little bit hungover, or you've gone out late on a Saturday night and you're still out come 3, 4 a.m., flick on the TV to 7, mate, and you'll be able to watch the Sunday games for the NFL.
And college football. I mean, obviously, Sunday morning here is only Saturday in America, so more likely Monday morning if you've had a Sunday sesh.
Yeah, which many of us do.
Many of us do. Speaking of NFL, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've started up the TryPod NFL tipping comp, and it's a great little thing. We've got already, I think, 12 people in there, but it's totally free to enter, and it's going to be, I guess, we've got 16 games every week that you're going to be picking against. You win the tipping comp, you get a TryPod supporter pack, which is going to include heaps of cool stuff, TryPod shirts, hoodies, all sorts of stuff. But not only that, if you are good enough to tip 60% in the tipping comp, you will win a $300 bonus bet.
That's nothing to be sneezed
at. That is
at.
nothing to be sneezed at, so make sure you hop onto our Facebook page. We've got all the info there for you.
And the season kicks off this Friday, so if you haven't signed up yet, I know a lot of people have been keen and telling me, oh yeah, really, really keen to get involved, and it'll be a good way to follow the season. And we'll be doing NFL pods, and we'll be giving out NFL best bets and advice. So if you're not sure, not initiated with the NFL, don't worry about that, because we'll help initiate you. It's a great time to start following. So jump on, follow the link on our page, sign up. It's a bit of fun. It's free, and you can win an awesome supporter pack and a $300 bonus bet. That's pretty sweet.
Free entertainment plus the chance to win cash.
That's it. Speaking of chance to win cash, obviously follow Tom. Tom's done well for us this year, definitely picking more winners than losers in the AFL.
Definitely.
Never has quite pulled the multi off, but maybe he's just saved his best form for the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last thing. So I know we've been, I think we spoke a little while ago. I know a good friend Pete was asking us where we find all these try lines early on. For the team totals, team try lines, all that sort of thing, because a lot of the value is to be found early in the week. And the site that does release them the earliest, pretty much on a Monday morning, is Luxbet. Now, we've got a great promo running at the moment. They've just upped their deposit match to $700. So you chuck in for all those big rollers out there. It's worth taking advantage of these deposit matches. Deposit $700, get 700 bonus bets to bet. Totally worth it. And plus, they've got a promo running at the moment for the NRL finals. $2.50 on every single favourite in the finals. You should be chucking $20 on every single one of those bets. So, yeah, we'll be posting the links to that on the page later on tonight.
That's it. That should just about wrap it up, as Heathy never does.
No, he never does.
So everyone have a great weekend. We certainly will at Holly's wedding. I will at Holly's wedding.
Yeah, correct yourself, mate.
Heaps of footy. Good luck with our best bets and with your own punts as well. But
Enjoy The Bachelor tonight.
And yeah, Batchy tonight. It was you updated the Batchy last week.
Yeah,
That was a
updated the
good read.
Batchy last week, and Nina's gone tonight. I'm calling it, so she's gone. She's overstayed her welcome, in my opinion. So she'll be gone before the family visits. Thank God.
We better get out of here before it starts. So most importantly, please
Oh, please.
gamble responsibly.